Today's guest brought a new technology to market in 2011 in a business that is now approaching $200 million in annual revenue. He exited that company a few years ago, and now he's back with a new and improved technology and shares advice both on growing a new technology and how to compete against a giant competitor. That same original company that he helped launch and that now has more than an 80% market share. He's in a unique place where he has had both experiences. It's a fascinating discussion, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it.
Are you looking for new ways to make your sales grow? You've tried other podcasts, but they don't seem to know. Harvest the growth potential of your product or service as we share stories and strategies that'll make your competitors nervous. Now, here's the host of the Harvest Growth Podcast, John LeClaire.
Welcome back to the show. I'm really excited to be speaking with Bruce Borenstein today. He is the CEO and founder of Conduction Labs, which by their website is known by OpnSound. That's their brand. OpnSound.com is the website. It's a unique headset technology that he really brought to market originally. Some of you may be familiar with bone conduction technology. We'll talk about that among other technologies. But this is a newer brand that he's brought to market with some really cool innovations as well. We'll talk about that. So sort of the history of the technology, what he's done since then, and sort of innovations that are coming into the future. But first of all, I want to welcome Bruce to the show.
Hey, John, thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
So you'll do a much better job than I did talking about the technology. I kept it kind of high level. But can you talk about the technology you use in your OpnSound products?
Sure. So we use two technologies. We have the bone conduction, which you mentioned, and we have directional audio. What bone conduction does is bone conduction creates vibration, which is what sound is, vibration, and has special transducers, speakers, that are in the headset that go up against your cheekbone and they vibrate. And the louder you want to listen, the more they vibrate, and that allows you to create the sound that you actually hear, bypassing your ear canal. Directional audio, which is also air conduction, which is everybody I'm sure is familiar with, the speakers that you have in your house, other headphones that you might be listening to, they all utilize air conduction. The difference here in open ear is that these air conduction transducers, speakers, are special, and it directs the sound to your ear so you hear it, but nobody else hears it. Right? And there are pluses and minuses for both. For example, bone conduction. We have a swimming headset in our line. There's a number of swimming headsets out there. Those have to be bone conduction because you could not do air conduction underwater. It wouldn't transmit the sound to your ear when your head goes under the water. Bone conduction doesn't have to do that because it's going through your cheekbone. So it's perfect for that type of an environment. Air conduction, on the other hand, from an audio standpoint, is a better audio experience. And because there's no vibration, many customers find it to be a little more comfortable because the louder you turn up bone conduction, the more vibration you get. Some people, it kind of feels a little bit like somebody's tickling your cheek. And some people don't like that. But still applications for both. Directional audio is the newer technology. Back when I started AfterShokz in 2011, we were the first, open air using bone conduction in the market back then. And there was no directional audio. So it was, if you wanted open air, you had to buy bone conduction. And we really changed that by doing the first air conduction products when we started our company back in 2020. So I think there's room for both. Obviously, we have both in our lineup, depending on the application. And it's a great way for consumers to listen. Particularly if you do any outdoor activity, you're a cyclist, you're a walker, runner, because it allows you to be aware of what's going on in your environment for your personal safety. When you're wearing your AirPods or other earbuds in your ear, you are closed off from everything else that's going on in the world. Sometimes that's good. Maybe when you're sitting at home in your easy chair, Yes, but if you're outside, I think it's people would rather feel safe by being able to hear their environment. There's a health component. One of the things that you'll notice if you're an earbud user, you take those earbuds out, and we all have it. You got a little bit of earwax on there. It's kind of nasty. And you put it back in its case or wherever you store it, and there the earwax sits, unless you're, cleaning it all the time, which some people do. But when you put it back in your ear, you run the risk of introducing bacteria, which then introduces ear infections, and not a good situation. And then the last, and what has become the main reason why people are buying open air, and you're seeing more open air product in the market today, is the comfort factor. And because you don't have to put anything in or over your ear, you kind of almost forget that you're wearing them. Like the headset you're wearing, John, which is a communication headset, which obviously you're using on this podcast. A lot of people, myself included, use it on Zoom calls. It's great for that. And if you do a lot of Zoom calls or a lot of podcasts, the ability to wear it all day without getting earbud fatigue, or if you're wearing the big cans that you see people have with the big boom microphone, gets a little sweaty under there. It's pretty uncomfortable. But something like this with open air, like I say, you almost forget that you're wearing it, and it performs very well.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. And I've loved wearing this, like you said, for Zoom calls, for podcasts, as we're actually using this. Both of us are using the device to record this podcast today, so our audience can sort of hear the quality that comes out of these devices. It's really phenomenal. The comfort, a couple of things for me. I'll just reiterate what you've said. For me, it comes down to comfort and safety. I originally have been using for years AfterShokz, now known as Shokz, bone conduction, before you and I met. And I use it for biking primarily outside, so I can hear traffic around me, et cetera, on road biking, et cetera. And it's been good. I love this. So when we started talking first, is when I first tried out your directional audio. That's what this is, not bone conduction. For me, it's better. I love it. Like you said, there's room for both. Everyone has their preference for various reasons. This I love, especially at the office all day, as opposed to my earbuds, which, you get sweaty, hot, all that kind of stuff, and gunky or whatever. And this I can wear it comfortably. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Phenomenal product for sure. And so let's rewind a little bit. You mentioned AfterShokz. So you founded that company, you invented the original, I believe the technology of bone conduction, really, at least in a consumer market, came from you originally.
Yeah, I'd love to take credit for the invention, but I had two Chinese partners with a factory in China where the manufacturing was done, and also the R&D. They did all the engineering. They did the manufacturing, built the tooling, did all that stuff. But they needed a way to bring it to market. And my expertise, I've been in the consumer electronics industry. I stop at 30 years because after I say more than that, everybody thinks I'm just an old fart. So, which maybe I am, I don't know. But the point being is that I had a lot of experience, I had a lot of relationships in the industry globally. And so I was able to bring that company. And what was really challenging, but a lot of fun at the same time, was that nobody had heard of open air. Nobody knew what it was. And I will tell you, the first products that we had weren't that great. But you got to start somewhere. And we were making inroads because people were listening to the message that we were out, spreading about the personal safety aspect of it. That's the way we went first. It was the sports market that we targeted. And in that market, it really resonated because people had been using either, they wear their Beats over the ears or they had their AirPods, and they realized that they were isolated. And when you're isolated and you're really getting into the music or whatever it is that you're listening to, you really are putting yourself in jeopardy, particularly for people, if they're out on the road, cars are coming down, dogs are out barking, chasing you. God forbid a criminal is on your tail and you never hear him. It's not a good situation. So that really propelled people experiencing open air. What's really interesting is the data indicates that most people own 2.5 headphones, right? Now, I don't know what the 0.5 headphone looks like, but it's because people have different listening requirements. So when you're at home and you're sitting in your easy chair, maybe open ear isn't the way you want to go, because at that point you want to immerse yourself in the sound. And so then the cans, the earbuds are definitely a better way to go because the music quality is going to be better. That's the one area, although it's gotten a lot better, but open ear listening will never be on par with in-ear listening, just by the fact that, with in-ear listening, your ears are occluded, the rest of the world, nothing is happening out there. You're just into what you're listening to. And obviously with open ear, that would not be the case. However, in a home environment, we found this to be true because we've gotten some testimonials from people. People that are either working outdoors, like construction workers, women working, cooking in the kitchen or whatever. And particularly if you have kids running around the house, you need to know what's going on, right? Because they can get themselves into some serious trouble if you can't hear what's happening. And it makes a big difference, not only for your personal safety, but for their personal safety, like the construction workers, same situation. Could be something going on the construction site. One of your coworkers yells something out to you. You're listening through your AirPods. You don't hear it. Nothing. It could save your life. I mean, it could become that dramatic. So clearly there's a place for open ear. If you are part of that 2.5 of folks, one of those 2.5 should be an open ear headset for those types of situations.
Yeah, agreed. And I think I have the answer to the 0.5, right? It's all of us that have an AirPod. None of us have kept both of them, right? You end up losing them, right? So you've got one AirPod, you're right or your left or whatever.
That is a real problem, and they are not inexpensive. So, you lose, of course, they recognize that themselves, and now they have a thing where you can actually have it on your phone so you can locate it and, maybe retrieve it, unless you drop it in the water or something, and, that's the end of that. But the point is that there is absolutely a place in everyone's headphone collection to have an open ear headset.
Absolutely. And so you helped build AfterShokz, now Shokz, and that's become a 9-figure business. I think they're over $100 million in revenue, which is fantastic.
My understanding is that globally last year, I think they did around $200 million. I aspire to that because I'm nowhere near that number. But
well on your way. And I want to ask the question. So you've got this now. You built it originally, right? And now they're a competitor of yours.
I built the distribution network for where the money is generated. I didn't make the product itself.
Now you compete with them, right, or against them, and they've got. I think you might mention maybe an 80. Is it like an 85% market share or something 80, like that?
85. Although, as more players come into the space, just by osmosis, their market share has to go down because more people are taking some of the business that would have gone to them as originally one of the only players in that space. Now there are many, including myself. So the market has changed. The market has grown, and really in large part, it's due to Shokz, has a very impressive marketing presence. I mean, it's very difficult to, go on your Facebook or Instagram or, onto your laptop and you're doing Google search without seeing something from Shokz pop up. So they are very aggressive and have a huge budget, for that. But they're very effective. But it does raise the awareness to the open ear listening experience, obviously for them, but also for anybody else who plays in the space. Because I think, consumers like to do a little research perhaps ahead of time and be able to say, okay, let me go and see what's in the market for open ear listening. Hopefully they stumble across us and look at what we offer. And our MO really is to try to deliver a great value to the consumer with a good quality audio experience comparable to a Shokz, but for significantly less money. So, that's how we try to position ourselves in the market. The other thing, excuse me, that is unique to us that nobody else does, including Shokz, is we have a lifetime warranty on all of our products. So you can feel confident when you buy it that it should be lasting you for a while. And we're very good about customer service. We really make an effort, in large part myself personally, get involved when, and fortunately it's not been an overwhelming barrage of consumers complaining, I got problems with my OpnSound. But I try to get involved because I want to know what's going on. What are the issues? What do people experience when they buy a product like this? In many cases, it's because, and again, maybe I'm as guilty as anybody, I don't read the instructions, so they don't know maybe how to pair their headset to their computer or to their phone, or a similar situation where they, forget to take, like on our truly wireless product, we have little plastic tabs over the contacts. And the reason why we do that is while it's shipping to preserve, so you have some battery when you take it right out of the package. If they forget to take those off, they use up what battery they had to begin with, then they send me a little note and they say, it won't charge anymore. Well, the first question I ask, you take those little blue plastic tab? Oh, yeah. Then everything is hunky-dory. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, you mentioned a couple things as we think about competing against the gorilla in the room, right? Or, somebody with 85% market share. A couple of the ways you talked about is, lower cost with the same or better quality. And I have to say, like as I have told you and our audience, I've used AfterShokz or Shokz product, our product for a few years, and your feel, the look and feel of the product is just as good. It's very premium. The usage is very similar, but like you said, a much lower cost. That's certainly part of it. I think another way you've talked with me about is innovation, right? Staying ahead of the curve, being the smaller player. It's for now in the market, one way to win out or really gain some market share is by truly innovate. What are some of the innovations that you've helped bring to market? You talked about one being the directional audio. What else is there that you've worked on?
Well, this is a great segue for me because I'm testing out this headset right now. I'm not wearing the one like you're wearing with the boom mic. But this headset's very interesting because it's an air conduction mic setup, right? Air conduction speakers, no vibration. And check this out. I'm going to take the headset off. I want to show you something here. Can you see that?
Yeah, red lights across the top of it, or what is the back when you put it on, the strap?
And the nice thing about that, because we were talking about safety, right? You're out running at night or walking at night or cycling at night. You want to be seen. Not everybody is wearing a vest as they should, right? This product we call it Dash Light Plus actually, allows that individual to be able to have an added layer of safety. And that layer of safety is not only are you hearing what's happening, but you're being seen. And these LED lights are pretty bright. You can see them really, I'd say about a quarter of a mile. So it's very visual. And for that application, if you're that person who does a lot of that outdoor activity, right? You want to be seen as well as being able to hear, Dash Light Plus is for you. So this will be out. I should have these in about 35 days, just in time for Christmas.
Perfect. I love that technology. That's a great idea. Walking, running, hiking outside, especially in the winter months, right, where it gets dark here in Colorado,
early,
at least at 5 p.m.
Yeah,
it's crazy. That's the bad part about winter for sure.
Well,
but yeah,
I'm in Florida, so I can't speak to that. But okay, I used to live in Syracuse. In fact, that's where AfterShokz was started, was in Syracuse, which is the snowiest city in America, averaging 110 inches a year. So if you don't ski or snowshoe or cross-country ski, it's a long winter. But we loved it up there. My kids are still living up there. So we enjoyed it. I know you're in Colorado, so you know from which I speak.
Correct. Although the interesting thing with Colorado, we get snow during Broncos games. So everyone around the country thinks it snows like crazy here. And of course, skiing in the mountains. But in the Front Range, the valley right next, where Denver is, right next to it, it's actually a high desert. So we get snow, but it melts. The sun comes out and it's great. But the darkness comes quick. It is certainly the part of the time zone we're in. It's like you said, 4:30, 5 o'clock, it's dark. So walking outside, running or whatever at night, I love that idea of the LED lights behind you to keep you safe as cars are approaching, or bikers on the road that might be out there, or other runners, whatever it might be, but just being seen. I love that without being intrusive. Well, Bruce, this has been a lot of fun. Is there anything I didn't ask that you think could be helpful for our audience?
No, gee, I think certainly we covered the technology part. We covered a little bit of my history and how I've been operating in this space. One thing I'll mention, this is a kind of a shameless plug about me, but after I started AfterShokz, I'm an active member in the Consumer Technology Association, which is most people know of CES, which is the big, every year in Las Vegas, big technology. So CTA is the company that produces the CES. And a couple of years into my tenure at AfterShokz, I won their Entrepreneur of the Year award for coming out with these open ear headsets. So I'm very proud of that. It's obviously on my LinkedIn page, but anyway, so I did want to make mention of that. I also want to make mention, if I can, because I'm in a very good mood today, and I'd like to offer your listeners a 10% discount on the purchase of any OpnSound product. And all they need to do is go to my website, opnsound.com, and enter the code HarvestGrowth10. I'm going to set that up after we hang up here, and they'll be able to get a 10% discount on top of already very, very good pricing to make it even more attractive, for themselves, to give themselves a gift, or to give it as a gift over the holidays. You can buy more than one. Use the code as often as you like, and I'd like to do that for your listeners, John.
Bruce, I really appreciate that. Thank you. And I do encourage our audience, please go check out opnsound.com. Always, as I always say, if you're driving or can't write it down right now, go to the show notes. You can see our podcast at harvestgrowthpodcast.com. Of course, YouTube and all the podcast platforms by searching Harvest Growth Podcast. Get the show notes there. You'll have the discount code and the URL. We'll put all that for everybody to remember. And I do want to say, for our audience, did you know that you can meet with a member of my team absolutely free for a 30-minute strategy consultation? We've launched and grown hundreds of products since 2007 and learned some of our strategies while growing OxyClean back in the Billy Mays days. We're here to help. So please go to harvestgrowth.com and set up a call if you'd like to discuss further.